Okay guys, we're going to jump right into this. No need to waste any time with any fancy intros or nothing. So today we're reviewing, this company contacted me via email and asked me to review their product. It's a new type of wire nut. They call it the Screwseal. And essentially what it is it's a regular twist type wire nut with a piece of heat shrink tubing already heat shrunk on this part. And these things are intended for, using outside, where you need water resistance, moisture resistance, maybe for a boat trailer wiring or any type of landscape wire outside, maybe even buried in the dirt. So that's what they're intended for. I mean, obviously these are going to be more expensive than your regular type wing nut you use indoors, but they have the added benefit, okay? So first off, let's say they're available in currently 5 sizes. They're color coded too. There's the gray, which comes in a pack of 100. The next size up is blue. That's in a pack of 50. Then we go to orange, comes in a pack of 25. They all have a part number here, SS1, SS1 to SS5, which is also, but they're also color coded. All right, then we jump up to yellows, pack of, what's a pack here? How many? 20. And then the biggest size they offer is these SS5s, the red ones. They come in a pack of 20. We'll talk about cost a little bit later. But, okay, give you a rundown here. These are available off Amazon. And I will leave a link in the description box if you're interested in purchasing any of these. They actually have a nice online, Amazon storefront, which gives you a description of everything that's on here and then more, which is nice. It's a very easy to use storefront. You know what you're getting right up front. Okay, so the company that manufactures these is called Giant Lock. Okay, and they're based in South Korea. The product is called Screwseal, right? And they give you, features and instructions right here. Now, with every package comes one of these data sheets. And on the pack here, it tells you based on the color. I don't know why red is not on this chart, but they have a red one. It tells you what size wire gauge they're good for, okay? A gray is good for 22 to 18 gauge wire, and a blue is for 22 to 14, and it goes on up. Your biggest wire, if you're using number 12 wire, obviously you have to use at least the yellow one or the red one. I believe it's also good for 10 gauge wire. Solid or stranded, but they have to be all copper wiring. It says it's only rated for copper wire right here. All right. Now, one thing I want to say straight up front is that on their Amazon page, they call these things waterproof. I believe they even say completely waterproof. However, when you scroll down into the details section on the Amazon page, they're actually rating these things at IP66. And if you know what IP ratings stand for, you probably already know what that means. But if you're not familiar with IP ratings, let me give you a quick little chart. This is, I believe it's an international standard that they've come up with to rate enclosures, anything to do with electronics, for a rating for dust ingress and water ingress. How resistant is it to dust and how resistant is it to water? IP is self-explanatory. It means ingress protection. The first digit has to do with dust, and the second digit, in this case highlighted in blue, has to do with the water resistance. Now, this case here is giving an example of an IP65. However, these are rated at IP66, which says, excuse me, I don't have my glasses on here, water from heavy seas or water projected in powerful jets shall not enter the enclosure in harmful quantities. So that is not saying that no water can get in there, right? Hence, that is not completely waterproof. You have to get down into an IP67 or an IP68 rating to qualify for immersion. So might be a little bit misleading them saying that it's completely waterproof. However, they assured me that they did this, when I asked them some questions via email, that they have had them tested in submersion and have had good results. But again, for what it's worth, they're really technically not rated for immersion. Now, I'd like to make one other note that on their data sheet here, they will tell you what size wires you can use with which particular color. However, they do not tell you how many conductors is the maximum that you can put in one of these. Like for instance, this blue is good for, say, what is it? Blue is good for 22 to 14 gauge conductor, right? But they don't tell you how many. So I asked them about that, and they sent me this chart in email. So you may have to do the same, because this is not available on their Amazon storefront, and they do not give it to you in the package. But it is available apparently, because they send it right to me. So let's say, for example, for blue, SS2 screw seal, if you're using 20 gauge wire, you can put 5 conductors in there. You can use 4 18 gauge conductors, 3 1.0, which I'm not sure what that is, or 2 16 gauge conductors, right? So you have to have this chart if you want to fully, do it the way you're supposed to, like how many you can squeeze into one of these conductors. And maybe that's based on NEC code, I don't know. However, like I said, Giant Lock is on Amazon. You can readily purchase them there. For the cost is, let's talk about the cost right now. Okay, here's a cost that I broke down off of, the Amazon page. Great, the packages come in different quantities, and then here's the price per package. So this breaks down to what the price is each. So they run anywhere from 45 cents each to $1.50 each. So for what that's worth to you, that's the cost. Now, let me show you how simple these are to actually operate. And I'll tell you what my initial concerns were about when I first saw these and they sent these to me, right? I mean, it's like any other wire nut. You just put your wires together. I like to give mine a starting twist when I'm using stranded wire. Pop it on there and then twist until tight. And you can usually know it's tight when you start twisting the wires that you can see outside of the heat shrink here, right? Pretty simple. Pretty simple, okay? Now, like I said, my initial concerns on these was that, when I put wire nuts on, I tend to put them on pretty tight, okay? And when you do that, I keep my finger up really close to the wire nut. For an example, when I'm using a wing nut, I don't know if I just lost video or not. My battery's low. I hope not. So anyway, when you're using a regular wing nut, you get them in, you can put your fingers right up against the bottom of the wire nut, and you can hold that with your fingers tight and twist. Well, you can't do that with these because the heat shrink is about ½ an inch away. So that keeps you from sticking your fingers all the way up against the bottom of the wire nut. However, like I said, I thought that was going to be a problem. But after doing these, I had no problem whatsoever. It's actually quite easy. So what I thought was a concern is not a concern at all. So there you go. And then, I tend to pull these apart and then give a tug on each wire and make sure one didn't pop out of position, that it's all tight. So, they're pretty snugly in there. There you go. That's how easy it is to use. Now, to seal it up, right, you can either use a lighter, shrink the tube, pretty good. Or you can use, of course, you could use a heat gun. If I have a heat gun available, or if I'm in the shop doing something like this, which probably isn't likely if you're using these outdoors, the heat gun works quite well. But however, the lighter worked great. Word of caution though, if you heat up here in the wire nut, this heat shrink tubing can pull down. I didn't have it pull off before when I was testing these off camera, but it did pull down somewhat. So anyway, that makes a pretty nice, I'd say durable connection. That's not going to vibrate loose. it's not going to be pulled loose at all. I mean, that is secure. This heat shrink tubing is pretty thick, and it shrinks down pretty tight. And you can see right here, the adhesive squeezes out. And I'm guessing, this is where it gets additional water resistance from. All right, so that's it. That's how simple they are to use. You see, I've actually done maybe at least 20, 30 more of these samples off camera, and I've tried pulling them apart and did a little destructive testing, and they worked fine. So now I'm going to show you a little bit with a submersion test to check some of the water resistance, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we've been waiting for, the immersion test. Now, these have been soaking for 1 hour. All right, I'm going to dry them off. I mean, I have a whole bunch here. I'm not really going to do all of them. I'm not going to waste your time. I've already done about a dozen others off camera, and the results are probably going to be similar. So I feel confident in just doing a couple here. Just going to dry that off. All right. So now we're dry, so let's give it a cut. Do a little surgery here. All right, let's see. I don't see any water. Let's cut this apart. Do this without cutting myself, I hope. All right. Peel it back. That peeled off easier than most of them. Let's see. Sorry, my light's not all that great in here. I see some water in there. See that? There's a little bit of water. Okay, what do we have here? Focus. Not really any water visible there. Let's unscrew. There's a couple drops of water. Can you see that? Couple drops of water. Nothing crazy. I mean, considering these things aren't rated for immersion, technically, no matter what they claim, by saying completely waterproof, I don't know that we could expect that from these. So I'm really over testing these here, immersing them. But I thought I'd, let's say you have a boat trailer, and you wired some lights or something in your boat trailer, and you back your boat trailer into the water to offload your boat or whatnot, I'm going to guess that they're going to be immersed. So it's still a real world test. An hour is definitely more than you're going to have your boat pretty much sitting there in the water with these submerged. However, I figured I'd do a worst case scenario here. Let's say you had to wait. All right, do I see any water in there? I think I do. Where's that sealant? It's tough to keep this in frame, I'm sorry. I'm going out of frame, I apologize. Some of these are a bitch to get off. They really stick to this. This stranded wire has a softer, like rubbery jacket on it. And when you can see in my fingers right here, I have some water in my fingers. So there's no large amount of water, that's for sure. If anything, there's a tiny bit of water right there. All right, let's try another. All right, let's dry this off. Let me try and separate these and fully dry them off. You can see that sealant. It flows really well all the way around the wires. My concern is more like in the middle of the wires where it's twisted together, like right down in the center. I'm not sure how sealant's going to get in there, so that's my suspicion that the only reason these aren't totally waterproof. So, but to say they're water resistant, is definitely truthful. I mean, they are water resistant. This will be the last one I think we'll cut open. I don't want to waste all your time just sitting here watching me cut open wire nuts. And what do we have here? Once again, there's a little bit of water right up in here. Nothing major. There's a drop of water. You can see it. Maybe a little dampness right there. Ugh, these are tough to unscrew, some of them. This is solid wire. And believe it or not, the shrink tube does not. Whoa, that all fell apart. The shrink tube doesn't stick to it quite as good like it does on that softer stranded wire insulation. I don't really see any water down inside the twisted copper. It was just up around the perimeter of where the wires went into the heat shrink. So, well, like you can see here, guys, like I said, I've already done equally this many, and I've had basically the same results. Tiny bit of water in there. My only concern would be that if it actually got in there, if you left it submerged for an hour or so, and if that water just stays in there, could it corrode the wires? I don't know. What's the alternative though? You know, you can solder the wire together and put heat shrink on it, you know, and another alternative is to use a different type of waterproof wire nut. These are actually called small waterproof connectors by Drycon. And these are the kind that have a silicone sealant inside. And whenever you put them on, that silicone kind of goops around everything and supposedly seals it as well. But on the back here, they're not rated, they don't tell you these are rated for immersion. They have very specific requirements here about how they're supposed to be. Where does it say? It says somewhere on here, oh, there it is. For use in dry, damp, wet locations, below or above grade when used in an enclosure. For use in direct bury applications where operating at 30 volts or less. That would be like, say, your low voltage outdoor landscape wiring, or trailer wiring, same thing, which is 12 volts generally, sometimes 24. But so this would be an alternative. But I'm given the choice here between the screw seals with the heat shrink or these. I would pick these. I have used these in the past, and they do seem to work, for what it's worth. But I kind of like the added security of having this keep the wires tightly held into the wire nut. I mean, I just really like that, So I guess my final thoughts are, winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm pretty happy. I think it's a good product, and I will be sure to be using them in future outdoor wiring projects. Give me that little added peace of mind, even if it's inside a PVC box or not. I think I like them, and I think you probably would too if you give them a try. So hey, thanks for watching. Hope this video helped, and hey, don't forget, if you did want to buy some of these, use my link down in the Amazon description box. I think I might get a tiny small commission that helps my channel a lot. So thanks for watching.